another one.
Where's my volume? Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, wow.
Hello.
I'm just letting a few more people in.
So one thing that we will ask people to do straight off is, can you please all mute your mute, which is bottom left, because there's 62 people coming into this.
John.
There'll be a lot of noise otherwise.
So, mute.
Thank you. Is that everybody in, Sarah, or there's still a few?
Still a few more people. We've got 57 now.
Yeah.
I'm just muting people that have their microphones on as they come in. Oh, another one. I think there might be everybody.
Cool. So we'll get started. Welcome everybody. I haven't specifically got karakia, but just thought we would share what was in LIANZA Kororo last week, which was from Honourable Pene Haneri, which was Noho Tawhiti, which is sit at a distance, and Tu Kotahi, stand as one. So welcome to this webinar. Just some quick housekeeping. Please keep your mic muted. You can ask your questions in the chat function, and I guess Sarah and Mandy, you will decide when you want to answer them. Can you please make sure that your display name identifies you in your library? So the way that you can do that is you can right click on your name on your kind of square, and it's got an option there to rename, and then you can put your name and your library name there. That would be really helpful. Sometimes we don't know who DPL or XYZ actually is. And just, of course, be respectful of our hosts and the other participants. We've got a lot of people in this space. So it's my great pleasure to welcome and to thank Sarah Powell, who is the chair of the LIANZA Standing Committee on Copyright, and Mandy Henk, who is also on the LIANZA Standing Committee on Copyright and also from Toha Toha. So they are the two people that have been helping negotiate the Public Libraries Agreement with Copyright Licensing New Zealand, the Publishers Association, and now the statements come out under the Coalition for Books. So that's been going on over about the last 10 days, and we were really delighted to be able to put something out to you all yesterday, because I know that you're all gearing up and excited about doing virtual story times. So welcome, and really a heartfelt thank to Sarah and Mandy, who do this role voluntarily for LIANZA, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Our pleasure. Mandy, do you want to introduce yourself? Or?
Yeah, hi, I'm Mandy. I run Toa Toa Aotearoa Commons, which is a small nonprofit that's funded by both government and by Internet New Zealand to provide a whole bunch of things, but in the current context, what's important is copyright advice and guidance to the sector. So we do copyright workshops, and we help people with copyright policy, and we engage with government on the process of reviewing the Copyright Act to make sure that it's fit for purpose for libraries and also for schools and museums and those sorts of folks. I've been doing this job for 3 years. I've been a librarian for longer than 20 years now. And this is my first job where I'm not in a library.
And I'm Sarah. I'm the chair of the LIANZA Standing Committee on Copyright. And yeah, we've all, actually the whole committee has helped work on this, which is really great. And we're very thankful and fortunate to have so many copyright experts on one committee. I'm not a librarian, I'm going to say that up front, but I do work at AUT as the copyright advisor within the library. So hopefully we can share what the guidelines mean to public librarians and how they can help you. So we'll just get started. So what is this agreement? So, sorry, I'm just trying to close all the little boxes that I have so I can read it. So this is an agreement led by the Coalition for Books between publishers, authors and libraries so that children can still enjoy being read to aloud during this very unsettling time. So essentially, and Mandy's going to cover this in much more detail, but the Copyright Act does not allow you to video yourself reading a book and share that publicly. And this is why we need to get permission from the publishers and the authors as well before we can do this. So this agreement will hopefully help mitigate any risk that you have. And yeah, so I'll pass you over to Mandy. If I can change the slide. Oh, there it goes.
So we need a slide, we need a slide because I need to know what to say. We need an agreement because the Copyright Act dates back to 1994. So the sorts of digital learning and sort of virtual story times isn't something that was ever considered under the Act. As the Act stands, what you would be doing when you're reading aloud a story is actually a public performance. And so doing a public performance, recording that and then communicating it to the public isn't actually something that as librarians we have an exception that allows us to do that. Educators also don't really have an exception that allows them to do that. Educators can perform things within a classroom setting, but they also can't do it in a virtual setting. So in order for us to be able to take our programs and services online, we needed to get the publishers to agree to allow us to do that, both to preserve our ongoing relationships with them and so they don't sue us because we don't want to be sued. So when we started working on this agreement, that was sort of what we really wanted, is we're really thinking here about those of you in public libraries who want to engage specifically with children. I was thinking about picture books. I trained as a children's librarian, and I imagine that there are a lot of you right now who want to engage with children via picture books on various online platforms. So that's sort of the core target audience here. There are undoubtedly others of you who would like to read chapter books to older children, and that's fine and covered under here as well. What we did not cover is you cannot play music and you cannot play videos. We did not, and of course the Coalition for Books could not allow us to do that. So this is really about a book, you, a camera, and a child on the other end.
Thanks, Mandy. So just wait for the Zoom to catch up. Okay, I got to click it. Okay, so what do you need to do? So first things first, if you do want to read a book, maybe you've got a book at home that you'd like to read, you do have to check the website that the Coalition for Books has put together specifically for this agreement, and that is the link on the slide. We will share this link with you, hopefully through the LIANZA communications channels, and you can just Google it as well and it comes up. So check the website for the list of publishers who are participating in this agreement, and hopefully from those list of publishers you'll have a range of books that you can choose. Then when you've got the book that you want, just make sure that you follow the guidelines, which we'll run through shortly. These are posted on the library's Aotearoa blog, or you can request a copy from the LIANZA Standing Committee on Copyright. You just have to email us, lianzacopyright@gmail.com, and we're happy to send you a copy of that. Sorry, I've got a couple more people to let into the room.
And we have also put the agreement up on the LIANZA website under resources as well. So it's in a couple of places online.
Oh, cool, thank you. So this is the list of publishers that is on the Coalition for Books websites today. So it's David Bateman Limited, Gecko Press, Millie Molly Children's Publishing, Scholastic New Zealand, Te Reo Sing-Along Books, and Walker Books. And we're hoping that as this agreement kind of gets more steam and people are sharing more links and authors are reading out books and stuff, hopefully more publishers will jump on board and they will be happy for people to read out the works, so the books. So just keep going back to the website and check for regular updates. So this is something that's probably going to be a big question. Obviously, under level 4, we can't leave our house. So if you don't have access to a physical book, you can still share links to other people's virtual readings. So you can share your own link if you want. And the website, the Coalition for Books website already has a whole lot of links up already. So they've got authors reading out their own works, including Joy Carley, Margaret Mahy, and Kyle Mewburn. They've got a whole lot of New Zealand stories online from all sorts of different authors. And they've got Te Reo Māori stories as well. And the other thing that we want to do, and maybe we just see if there's an appetite for it today, if you, in your little bubble at your house, if you've got a list of books that you think the publishers, the publisher is on the website, then we want to create like a shared list of these works. So then you can request a virtual reading from someone that has a book that you don't have, or someone can request a reading from you, and you would record yourself reading out the book and you would send that recording to somebody else. So that's obviously only if you feel comfortable doing that. And also if this is something that you want, then we can help arrange that as well. The other thing that we can do is try and get a digital file from the publisher for you as well. But this might not be possible in all cases. So pass you off to Mandy at this time. She's going to run you through the guidelines.
Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind here. One, this is a free agreement. We did our best to make it as easy and as clear for everyone to use as possible. They're not charging us, so there's a little bit of admin here. And I am sorry about that. I think ideally there wouldn't have been admin, but I think we all know we don't live in an ideal world right now. So here are the guidelines for you to think about. Once you have your book chosen, you've made sure it's on the list of publishers and you're ready to go, what you need to think about then is what technology makes the most sense. And what I would focus on there is what you think is going to be of most use to your audience. So I think for a lot of you guys, it's going to be Facebook. For others, it might be Zoom. You might have other sorts of technologies that you're using. Whenever possible, the publishers would prefer that you use a closed platform, so something where people have to log in before they can access the reading. I explained to them that our libraries don't really have that capacity, but for those of you who do have that capacity, please use those closed portals where possible. Could you move the slide along? So these are the actual guidelines. Use a non-downloadable technology. So we identified what we thought were going to be the non-downloadable technologies that most people were likely to want to use, and I took some screenshots. So if you want to use Zoom, you can make it so that the meeting is not recorded automatically. Just don't check the box that says record meeting automatically, and then you should be set. Can we do the next one? For Facebook, if you want to go on Facebook Live, which I imagine a lot of you would like to go on Facebook Live, when you go to set up your live stream, there is under settings, there's a box that you can check that says unpublish after live video ends. So do that, and that will ensure that your recording doesn't live on. Part of what the publishers don't want is there to be this enormous library of books being read online that can then be downloaded later. And this will ensure that that doesn't happen. Next. So the other two that we thought would be possibly used is Vimeo. I know some libraries have Vimeo accounts. I don't have a paid Vimeo account, so I wasn't able to go in and see, but it's very possible there to make it non-downloadable. And of course, YouTube doesn't offer users a download option. So if you are putting something on YouTube, you don't need to worry about the downloadability of that. Next. But what you want to do on YouTube is to make it unlisted. So when you go through and you upload, you will have the opportunity to make something unlisted, and you should do this. And in Vimeo, make sure that you designate it not public. And that way you can share the link with your users, but people aren't going to stumble on it. It's not going to be available in searches, but it will continue to be available to the audience that you want it to be available to. Next. So, were you going to do reporting, Sarah? Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry, that's why I got Mandy to do the technology part. I'm not very good with technology. So reporting, so basically if you do not have a closed platform that you can, that people have like a password to get into, and you're using Facebook Live and you're putting things on YouTube, then that is classed as an open platform. So you will have to record each time that you make a recording, even if it's a live stream or if it's a recording that you upload to YouTube, you will have to report this. And we've created a form, and you just need to say your library's name, not your name, just the library's name, the book title, ISBN, authors and illustrators, and also just share a link to the reading online. So the reason that the link will be shared is so, and all of this information will be shared with the Coalition for Books, and at the end of the level 4 kind of lockdown emergency, they will check and make sure that all that information has been, all the recordings have been removed. That's also one of the conditions of doing this, is that we take it all down at the end. So yeah, so the special arrangements are temporary and will only remain in force while the level 4 lockdown is in place. They're going to review it when we move to level 3. And obviously this will be quite tricky because there could be different regions that have different levels. So we'll keep you updated about what will happen if that's the case. But essentially, once this whole thing is over, everything just has to come down. But while we can't leave the house and everything's in levels 4, that's perfectly fine for it to be online for the whole period. And this is kind of something that you probably would do normally anyway, but just make sure that at the start of your reading, you acknowledge the book's title, the author, any illustrators, and also the publisher as well. And Mandy's going to talk to you about this one.
Yeah, so presumably if you are using a virtual platform, you have some sense of how to do tagging. Where possible, they would like us to tag authors and publishers so that they can also engage in some ways. Sometimes it's not going to be possible. Not all authors are in Facebook, not all authors are in Twitter. We have asked them to include sort of publishers' Twitter and Facebook sites so that that'll be easy for you. This is one of those, do your best. This is really should be something where we're inviting them to engage, and it's an opportunity for them to engage with us. So do your best. If you can't do it, if you can't find an author, don't stress about it.
Yeah, so that's basically the guidelines, and we've just put together like a really quick checklist because it is it's quite a lot of stuff to remember. So I guess if you use this checklist, number 1, check the list of publishers, access the book if you can. Maybe we can get a digital file, maybe somebody else can record themselves reading it. Choose a technology that suits your audience if it is you that is doing the recording. Make any live sessions non-downloadable. Acknowledge the author while you're doing your reading. At the end of your reading and you're uploading it to YouTube or Vimeo, upload it as unlisted. Tag people where possible, and then make sure that you report everything on the form that we have created for you. And then just to make sure that you remove it when it's all over. And we just wanted to say, this is actually kind of the end of like the going through the guidelines, and then we'll probably have time for discussion now. But we just want to say special thanks to Paula Browning from LIANZA, Katrina Ferguson from PANS, the Coalition of Books, LIANZA, Toa, obviously Mandy from Toa helped with her Toa hat on, helped us a lot with this. Just everyone kind of coming together at this time as well, just to make sure that this is something that everyone can do. So, and thanks to everybody for coming to the webinar as well. So if you do have any questions that you don't want to ask in the chat or something, you feel free to email us as well, and we can get back to you. But yeah, so now we can take some questions. Anna, what do you think the best way would be to do it in the chat?
I guess we could take them from people talking. Just, I don't know if everybody probably can't see everybody, so we just have to be careful not to be talking over the top of each other.
Mm-hmm. So if anyone has any questions, they're welcome. You feel free to unmute yourself and ask away, or type something in the chat box.
Yeah, I think we can definitely provide a copy of the slides. Anna, can you figure out the easiest way?
Yes, if you send the PowerPoint, we can put it up on the LIANZA website and make sure that people know where it is.
Okay, awesome. So someone here asked, can the recording on Facebook Live stay up? During the duration of level 4, yes, but it needs to come down after that. Oh, okay. So do you see here the question about screencasting of ebooks? What's a screencast? Like, what is the thing that, and you can unmute yourself, what is the thing that you plan on doing here exactly?
Hi there. The idea is with a screencast is that it's basically a little bit what you're doing here. So it's a screen sharing. So for instance, you would be able to open up an ebook that was on that list and turn the pages. So you'd be showing the user experience of using an ebook and recording a live voiceover of the book itself.
I think that that's what you would have to do with a digital file anyway. So I think that should be okay as long as you're following the guidelines and the publisher is on the list and you take it down after. I don't think that you have to be sitting sort of with a physical book in front of it. And I think that would be the only way to do a digital book. What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think that would be, I think that would be fine.
Okay, so Penny asked, if we shared recordings of us reading books, how could these be integrated into a story time? I think you could do multiple books in a single story time. I know, thinking back to when I was taught how to be a children's librarian, 3 picture books was pretty common for a story time, and I don't see any reason that you couldn't do that sort of as usual. Okay, does that make sense and answer your question, Penny?
Not really. You're probably the person to answer it, but it's more the logistics of actually doing it. If you're doing Facebook Live, how could you incorporate somebody else's recording?
Oh, I don't know. That would be a question for a tech person.
Yeah, that's what I feared.
All right. So Jen Hai asks, oh wait, I lost it. Something in the pipeline for adult books. This does apply to adult books as well. I don't know that we've done much work to pull in adult publishers, but if there's demand for it, we can certainly have that conversation with Paula. But there are sort of any books from these publishers should be covered under the agreement. Sarah, do you want to take a turn with questions? I don't mean to answer them all.
Are these guidelines, this is from Nicole Berry, are these guidelines in place simply because of the idea of recording? Yes, that is correct. You can read out a book when you're physically in the library, that's fine. But as soon as you record yourself and then share that, then that's infringing copyright, unfortunately, and that's where we need permission. Does that answer your question? Cool. If I'm reading a te reo book, do I tag the author as well as the Māori translator? Yes, I would say, yep, that would be a really good thing to do. Yep, you could share the screen of a YouTube video in Zoom. Would that work, man? This is getting like copyright inception now.
Yeah, right? Like the copyright inception.
It's better to share the links of a recording if you're not doing it yourself. I know it's just a really tricky thing that we just have to work around at the moment. I probably wouldn't advise sharing YouTube videos in a Zoom. Scholastic and Walker are international publishers. Does this include international books? I would say yes, but we can check with you. We can check with the LIANZA for you.
But
so
I would assume that it includes, I would assume
that
the books from the publisher.
Okay. So from Glenn from Whangarei, where do we stand as far as reading books from overseas publishers? You can only read what is on the list on the website, at the Coalition for Books website. If there is a publisher that you really want to read a book from, then we can try and get permission for you, or just email Coalition of Books directly and ask them. That's probably the easiest way, actually, and they will let you know. I'm trying to find, is there any provision for audiobooks under this agreement? I don't think so. Mandy?
What?
Is there any provision for audiobooks?
No, not under this agreement. And I would also, for the question from Catherine Selwyn Libraries, yeah, so don't play music, don't show videos. Those would be covered under actually a completely different licensing organization, who we have not negotiated any kind of license with and would probably struggle to do so. So that would be One Music and Screen Rights. And yeah, that's a kettle of fish that might be a bit much for us.
Are publishers able to provide reading copies by post? Well, I don't think that, no, that wouldn't be covered under this agreement. That's something else. And also probably wouldn't be an essential item at the moment.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well, as it might be hard to get books.
Yeah.
That's where your idea of us providing a list for people to start listing the books that they do have that are on that publisher's list, so that then you could say, Penny could read the book that she's got in Tauranga and do a recording, and then she could send the recording to somebody in Levin to share as part of their story time. Yeah.
Would people be interested in doing that?
While people answer that, on the topics of songs and rhymes that are in the public domain are absolutely fine to record. And much of that would include the sort of usual, the Mother Goose rhymes, all of those sorts of things that you might do in an early childhood context. Those should all be fine.
I also wanted to say that it'll come out in LIANZA Kōrero today to members, but we are planning another webinar on virtual Storytimes next Tuesday, April the 7th at 11:30 a.m. for you to get online and talk to each other about some of the challenges and ideas and ways, practicalities of how you're actually doing the virtual story times, and we can repeat those as many times as needed, you know, to help people share their resources and ideas.
Yeah, and just email us any questions that you have. And I'm happy to attend that webinar next week as well, just if there was any copyright issues that come up. Cool. Any more questions? People might be busy typing away. I think that might be everything.
I think that's it. Anybody got any last minute comment, question? You're all good. Thanks so much for attending, and really a big thanks to Mandy and Sarah for the work, and for running the webinar. The information's up on Libraries Aotearoa under the blog, and it's also on the LIANZA website, the agreement, and we will also put up the PowerPoint from today, and this has also been recorded, so we'll provide the recording as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing the wonderful virtual story times.
Absolutely.
Wonderful for children and adults. Thank you.